What happens when one of the most famous women in the world walks onto a daytime talk show and decides that the rules simply do not apply to her? It only took 38 seconds from the moment one simple question was asked for everything to fall apart completely. This is not the kind of thing that happens on morning television. This is not the drama you expect when you sit down with your cup of tea, ready to watch a friendly chat between familiar faces. But on this particular day, everything changed. The studio audience sat in stunned silence. The other panelists froze in their seats, and one host, Denise Welch, found herself in a situation she never could have predicted. Let me take you back to the beginning. Let me show you exactly how this all unfolded, moment by moment, word by word. The energy in the studio that morning was electric. Everyone knew this was going to be a big episode. The guest list had been kept under wraps for weeks, but rumors had been swirling. When the announcement finally came that Meghan Markle would be appearing on Loose Women, the excitement was through the roof. This was a huge get for the show. A former member of the royal family, someone whose every move made headlines, agreeing to sit down for a conversation. The production team had worked overtime to make sure everything was perfect. The lighting was adjusted, the seating arrangement was carefully considered. Even the flowers on the coffee table had been selected with care. Nothing was left to chance. Everyone wanted this to be a memorable episode. They had no idea just how memorable it would become. Denise Welch had been chosen to lead the interview. This made perfect sense. Denise had been a fixture on British television for years. She was known for her warmth, her honesty, and her ability to make guests feel comfortable while still asking the questions that viewers wanted answered. She had interviewed countless celebrities, politicians, and public figures. She knew how to navigate tricky conversations with grace. Before the camera started rolling, Denise made her way to the green room to greet Meghan. This was standard practice. A quick hello, a chance to break the ice, a moment to establish a friendly rapport before the official interview began. Denise knocked gently on the door and stepped inside with a warm smile on her face. "Hello there, so lovely to meet you. We are absolutely thrilled to have you on the show today." Meghan was sitting in a plush chair, surrounded by 3 assistants who were fussing over her hair and makeup. She glanced up briefly, her expression unreadable. "Yes, I am sure you are." Denise paused for just a moment, slightly taken aback by the coolness of the response. But she was a professional. She had dealt with difficult guests before. She maintained her cheerful demeanor. "Is there anything you need? Anything we can get you before we start?" One of the assistants stepped forward, clipboard in hand. "Actually, there are a few things we need to go over. Mrs. Markle has a list of topics that are not to be discussed during the interview." Denise raised an eyebrow but kept her composure. "Oh, of course. What topics are we looking at?" The assistant began reading from the clipboard. "No questions about family rifts. No questions about specific members of the royal family. No questions about previous interviews or statements made to other media outlets. No questions about business dealings or financial matters." "Hang on a moment," Denise interrupted gently, her voice still friendly but with a hint of firmness. "We did not receive any list of restricted topics before agreeing to this interview. Our viewers are expecting a candid conversation." Meghan finally looked up properly, making eye contact with Denise for the first time. "Your viewers will get what I decide to give them. I am doing your little show a favor by being here. The least you can do is respect my boundaries." The words hung in the air. Little show. Denise felt a flash of irritation but swallowed it down. She had been doing this job for longer than she cared to remember. She was not going to let anyone rattle her before the cameras even started rolling. Right then, "We will see you out there in 10 minutes. She turned and walked out of the green room, her mind already racing. She knew this interview was going to be more challenging than anticipated, but she also knew that she had a responsibility to her viewers. The studio audience was buzzing with anticipation as the show went live. The familiar theme music played, the hosts took their seats, the energy was palpable. "Welcome to Loose Women, everyone. Have we got a show for you today? Our very special guest needs no introduction, but we are going to give her one anyway. She captured the hearts of millions when she joined the royal family, and she has been making headlines ever since. Please welcome to the show, Meghan Markle." The audience erupted into applause as Meghan walked out onto the set. She was dressed impeccably, every detail of her appearance carefully curated. She smiled and waved, the picture of grace and poise. She took her seat on the couch, crossing her legs elegantly, her posture perfect. Denise leaned forward with a warm expression. "Thank you so much for joining us today. It really is an honor to have you here. Thank you for having me. It is always lovely to connect with audiences in the United Kingdom. I have such fond memories of my time here. Well, we have fond memories of you too. Now, you have been incredibly busy lately. Tell us a bit about what you have been working on. Meghan launched into a well-rehearsed explanation of her various projects, podcasts, production deals, charity work. She spoke eloquently, hitting all the right notes, staying firmly in safe territory. The audience listened attentively, nodding along. Several minutes passed. The conversation remained pleasant, but surface level. Denise could sense that the viewers at home were waiting for something more. They wanted substance. They wanted honesty. You know, Meghan, our viewers have sent in quite a few questions for you. They are really curious about so many aspects of your life. Would you be open to answering a few of them? Meghan's smile flickered almost imperceptibly. Of course, I am always happy to engage with people who are genuinely interested in understanding my journey. Wonderful. Here is one from Sarah in Manchester. She asks, what has been the biggest challenge of transitioning from royal life to your current path? Meghan tilted her head thoughtfully. That is a great question, Sarah. I think the biggest challenge has been learning to use my voice again. When you are part of an institution, there are expectations about how you present yourself. Now I have the freedom to speak my truth without those constraints. That is interesting. So, you felt constrained before? Unable to speak freely? I felt that my authentic self was not always welcomed. I was expected to fit into a mold that did not accommodate who I truly am. And who are you truly? I think our viewers would love to know the real Meghan behind the headlines. Meghan paused, seeming to consider her words. I am a mother first and foremost. I am a wife. I am an advocate for causes I believe in. I am someone who has faced tremendous adversity and come out stronger on the other side. Tremendous adversity. Can you tell us more about that? What kind of adversity are you referring to? I think anyone who has followed my story knows what I am referring to. The treatment I received, the constant scrutiny, the unfair attacks. From the media, you mean? From many sources. The media certainly played a role, but they were not alone. This was the moment. Denise could feel it. This was where the conversation could go deeper, where they could get beyond the talking points and into something real. You mentioned attacks. There are some who would say that you and your husband have also been quite vocal in your criticisms, that it has not been entirely one-sided. The temperature in the studio seemed to drop several degrees. Excuse me? I am just pointing out that there are different perspectives on the situation. Some people feel that there have been hurtful comments made by both sides. Meghan straightened in her seat, her eyes narrowing. I find it interesting that you would choose to frame it that way. I came here in good faith, expecting a supportive environment, and instead, I am being attacked. Attacked? I am simply asking questions. That is my job as an interviewer. Your job should be to provide a platform for me to share my story, not to ambush me with loaded questions designed to make me look bad. The audience shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The other panelists exchanged worried glances. Denise took a breath, maintaining her composure. Meghan, I assure you that no one is trying to ambush you. I am simply facilitating a conversation that our viewers are interested in. These are questions that people are genuinely curious about. People? You mean tabloid readers? People who have been fed a steady diet of lies and misinformation about me and my family. Our viewers are not tabloid readers. They are hardworking people who tune in every day because they trust us to have honest conversations. They deserve to be treated with respect. And I deserve to be treated with respect as well. I am a guest on this show. I should not have to sit here and defend myself against thinly veiled accusations. What accusations? I have not accused you of anything. I have simply asked you to acknowledge that there are multiple perspectives on a complicated situation. Meghan leaned forward, her expression hardening. Let me explain something to you. I have been dealing with people like you for years. People who smile to my face and then twist my words to fit their narrative. People who pretend to be interested in my well-being while secretly hoping I will fail. People like me. Meghan, I do not know what experiences you have had with other interviewers, but I have been nothing but professional and courteous with you today. Professional. Is it professional to ignore the list of topics I specifically asked you not to discuss? Is it professional to try to trap me with leading questions? We never agreed to any list of restricted topics. That is not how we operate on this show. We have genuine conversations. If you wanted a scripted appearance where you control every word, You should have chosen a different platform." The audience let out a collective gasp. No one could believe what they were witnessing. Meghan's face flushed with anger. "How dare you speak to me that way? Do you have any idea who I am? Do you have any idea what I have accomplished? I have dined with presidents and prime ministers. I have addressed the United Nations. I have built a global platform for change. And you, sitting there on your little panel show, have the audacity to question me?" Denise remained remarkably calm in the face of this outburst. "I know exactly who you are, Meghan. You are a guest on our show, the same as any other guest. Celebrity does not exempt you from being asked reasonable questions." "Reasonable? There is nothing reasonable about any of this. I should never have agreed to come here. My team warned me that British media could not be trusted, and clearly they were right." "Your team warned you about us? We have been nothing but accommodating. We have treated you with the same respect we show every guest." Respect. You do not know the meaning of the word. Respect would be acknowledging the harm that has been done to me and my family. Respect would be giving me the space to tell my story without constant interruption and contradiction. I have not interrupted you once. I have listened to everything you have said, but I am also allowed to ask follow-up questions. That is how conversations work. This is not a conversation. This is an interrogation. You brought me here under false pretenses, and now you are trying to humiliate me on national television. One of the other panelists, who had been watching the exchange with wide eyes, tried to intervene. "Perhaps we should take a quick break, give everyone a chance to collect themselves." "No," Meghan said sharply. "I am not taking a break. I am not going to let them edit this to make me look bad. I want everyone watching to see exactly what is happening here." "What is happening here?" Denise said slowly, "is that you are becoming upset because you are not being given the controlled environment you expected. I am sorry if that is uncomfortable for you, but our viewers deserve an authentic conversation. Did you just characterize my legitimate concerns as me being upset? That is exactly the kind of dismissive, patronizing behavior I have had to deal with my entire time in this country. I apologize for my choice of words, but my point stands. You are reacting very strongly to what has been a fairly standard interview." "Standard? There is nothing standard about the way I am treated. There never has been. From the moment I entered public life, I have been held to a different standard than everyone else, scrutinized more harshly, criticized more unfairly. I am sure that has been difficult. But you chose this life. You married into one of the most famous families in the world. Scrutiny comes with that territory. I should not have to justify my right to be treated like a human being. I should not have to earn basic decency. Nobody is denying you basic decency. But being treated with decency does not mean being exempt from all criticism or questioning. Those are different things." Meghan let out a frustrated laugh. "You just do not stop, do you? Every time I try to explain my perspective, you twist it. Every time I try to make you understand, you find a way to make me seem unreasonable." "I am not trying to make you seem unreasonable. I am simply having a conversation with you. If you are coming across a certain way, that is not my doing. So it is my fault? Everything is always my fault, is it not? The press attacks me, my fault. My family relationships are strained, my fault. This interview is going badly, my fault. When does anyone else take responsibility? I can only speak to what is happening right here, right now. And what I see is a guest who seems uncomfortable with the format of a talk show interview." Meghan pointed a finger at Denise. "What you see is what you want to see. You came into this interview with an agenda. You were determined to make me look bad, and you are doing everything in your power to succeed. I came into this interview with an open mind. I wanted to give our viewers an interesting, engaging conversation with someone whose life has been fascinating to watch. But you have made it very difficult to have that conversation because you will not let me tell my story on my own terms. Nobody gets to tell their story on their own terms in an interview. That is what interviews are. They are conversations. They involve questions. They involve pushback. That is how they work. Not every interviewer pushes back like you do. Then perhaps you should have spoken with those interviewers. But you chose to come on our show. And our show has always been about honest, real conversations." Meghan stood up abruptly. "I am done. I am not going to sit here and be treated like this. This interview is over." Denise remained seated, her expression neutral. "You are welcome to leave if you choose, but I would encourage you to stay and have a genuine conversation. Running away from difficult questions does not make them go away." Running away? I am not running away. I am refusing to participate in my own degradation. There is a difference. The only degradation happening here is what you are doing to yourself. You came here with an opportunity to connect with millions of viewers, to show them who you really are. And instead, you are throwing that opportunity away because you are not being given special treatment. Meghan's voice hit a new octave. I am a grown woman expressing legitimate concerns about how I am being treated, and you reduce it to me wanting special treatment? That is exactly the kind of dismissive, patronizing behavior I have had to deal with. Meghan looked around the studio, as if seeking allies. The audience avoided her gaze. The other panelists remained silent. She was alone. Fine. If that is how this is going to be, then I have nothing more to say. You have shown exactly what kind of show this is and exactly what kind of person you are. And what kind of person am I? You are someone who pretends to be supportive but is actually hostile. You are someone who uses friendly words to mask aggressive intentions. You are exactly the kind of person who has made my life difficult from the very beginning. Denise absorbed this characterization without flinching. I'm sorry you feel that way. I genuinely am. But I disagree with your assessment. I have treated you the same way I would treat any guest, with respect, with interest, and with the expectation that you would engage honestly with our conversation. Honestly? You want me to be honest? Fine. Here is some honesty for you. I think this show is beneath me. I think you and your panelists are desperate for relevance, trying to boost your ratings by taking shots at someone more successful and more famous than any of you will ever be. I think this entire interview was a setup designed to generate controversy at my expense. The audience gasped audibly at this pronouncement. The other panelists shifted uncomfortably. Even the camera operator seemed shocked. Denise remained remarkably composed. I am sorry you feel that way, but I think you might want to consider the possibility that your perception is not accurate, that maybe you are so accustomed to being treated a certain way that you interpret everything through that lens, even when it does not apply. Do not psychoanalyze me. You do not know me. You do not know what I have been through. You have no right to make assumptions about how I think or why. Fair enough, but by that same logic, you do not know me either. You do not know my intentions or motivations, so perhaps you should not be making assumptions about why I asked the questions I asked. This seemed to stop Meghan in her tracks. For a moment, she had no response. Then she shook her head. It does not matter. None of this matters. I came here in good faith and I was treated poorly. That is the only truth that counts. That is your truth, but it is not the only truth. The truth is that you were welcomed warmly. The truth is that you were given every opportunity to share your story. The truth is that you became upset when you were asked questions you did not want to answer. Those are also truths. You are gaslighting me. You are trying to make me doubt my own experience. That is textbook manipulation. I am simply offering a different perspective on what happened. That is not gaslighting. That is just disagreement. Meghan looked at Denise with unconcealed contempt. You are going to regret this. I have a platform of millions of people who care about what I have to say. When they hear about how I was treated today, your little show is going to face consequences. Is that a threat? It is a promise. I do not make idle threats. Well then, I look forward to seeing what happens. But I would remind you that everything that happened here today was filmed. People can watch and judge for themselves who behaved appropriately and who did not. Meghan took one more look around the studio, her expression a mixture of anger and disbelief. I am leaving, and I am never coming back. She began walking toward the exit. The audience watched in stunned silence. The cameras followed her movement, capturing every step. Thank you for your time, Meghan. I am sorry this did not go the way you hoped. Meghan stopped at the edge of the stage and turned around. You are not sorry. You got exactly what you wanted. A scandal, a confrontation, something for people to talk about. Well, congratulations. You got it. But do not pretend for 1 second that you are sorry about any of this. I genuinely am sorry. I was excited to meet you. I wanted to have a real conversation about your life and experiences. I did not want this. Then you should have been more careful about the questions you asked. The questions I asked were reasonable. Most guests would have simply answered them and moved on. I am not most guests. No, you are not. With that, Meghan turned and walked off the set. Her footsteps echoed in the suddenly silent studio. Then security appeared at the edge of the stage, looking confused. Is everything all right? Our guest has decided to leave early. Could you please escort her safely to her vehicle? The security personnel nodded and hurried after Meghan, who was already disappearing into the backstage area. Denise turned back to the camera, her composure never wavering. Well, that was certainly unexpected. I want to apologize to our viewers for any confusion about what just happened. We always strive to have respectful, engaging conversations with our guests, and I am sorry that today's interview took such an unfortunate turn. She paused, seeming to choose her next words carefully. I also want to be clear about something. Our goal is never to make anyone feel uncomfortable or attacked. We ask questions because that is our job. We pursue honest conversations because that is what our viewers deserve. Today, those questions were not well received, and that is disappointing, but it does not change how we operate. The other panelists nodded in agreement, finally finding their voices again. Denise, I have to say, you handled that incredibly well, one of them offered. Thank you. It was not easy, but I have been doing this job for a long time. I have learned that you cannot control how others react. You can only control how you behave yourself. And you behaved with complete professionalism, another panelist added. I do not know how you stayed so calm. I was shaking just watching it. Years of experience, Denise said with a small smile. And honestly, I was shaking a little bit too. I just did not want to show it. She took a deep breath and faced the camera directly. To any viewers who were upset by what they just witnessed, I apologize. That is not what we planned. That is not what we wanted. But sometimes, live television takes unexpected turns. All we can do is handle those moments as gracefully as possible and keep moving forward. The audience, slowly recovering from their shock, began to applaud. It started tentatively, then built in strength and conviction. They were applauding Denise. They were acknowledging her professionalism, her composure, her refusal to be rattled by the unexpected hostility she had faced. Denise smiled, a genuine smile this time. Thank you all. Now, I believe we have some other segments planned for today. Should we try to get back on track? And just like that, the show continued. The conversation moved on to other topics, other segments. Life went on, but no one in that studio would ever forget what they had witnessed. The moment when one of the most famous women in the world had stormed off a daytime talk show. The moment when polite questions had been met with indignant fury. The moment when Denise Welch had proven that composure and professionalism could triumph over entitlement and hostility. And through it all, Denise Welch simply did her job. She smiled, she engaged with her fellow panelists, she welcomed the next segment with the same warmth she had shown at the beginning of the day. She did not gloat. She did not dwell. She simply moved forward. That is what professionals do. That is what 38 seconds can reveal about a person. Not just about the person who loses control, but about the person who maintains it. Not just about the person who makes demands, but about the person who refuses to be bullied. Not just about the person who expects special treatment, but about the person who insists on fairness for everyone. 38 seconds from the first challenging question to the first sign of trouble. 38 seconds that changed everything. 38 seconds that viewers would be talking about for years to come. What happens when someone walks onto a show believing they are above being questioned? What happens when entitlement meets reality? What happens when the spotlight reveals something that careful image management was never meant to show? Now you know. Some people respond to challenges with grace. Others respond with fury. The difference between those two responses tells you everything you need to know about a person. On that day, in that studio, the difference was on full display. The cameras captured every moment. The audience witnessed every word. And the truth, as it has a way of doing, eventually came out, and the world was watching.